Hello everyone, this is Daniel again, and we're not perfect. And let me tell you quite possibly how I do it. How I do not do perfection, and basically still get salvation. This is a complex matter because we still have sin even though we're saved until we get to heaven. Just remember that. And to you Pharisees, you have a struggle with something called pride. And basically, you don't know what that pride is until you really understand it when you're in hell, or unless you're saved. So let me tell you an example part of my life that you most likely will hate, but you will listen to later. So I know this is not going to be popular. Probably one or two or four people are going to see this, but I don't really care right now. All I need is people to see this video, or someone to see this video, and hopefully hear from God, from what is going on. So this is part of my life that I will show you right now. Okay, so point on. My life is not perfect. I used to be a Satanist, but then I became saved. And after I got saved in 2008, I went to a mental institution, and then my life was getting back together as it should be, you know? But I'm still never going to be perfect. I still am going to have this thorn in my flesh. And what does that mean? That means you have a sin in your life. That really means that sin is not going to, it's never going to come out. It's a huge thorn in your thread. It's flesh. It really is not going to come out unless you die. It's like Pharisees want to get rid of that thorn, and they do, but just for pride, and they get destroyed. So just get that clear. So if you want to be an example of God, let your life not be murderous, but try to get one thing in your life that you like the most, or second place that you like the most in, or maybe third place. I know for me, it was Satanism for first place, but then second place was sexuality, so I got sexuality for second place, but get certain evils out of your system, and don't be against God. However, don't be against other people, and all you have to do is, be a bitter person, maybe, maybe be immoral in certain ways. I heard of a person that was gay and like bisexual or something like that. He was like really like he'd love the rainbow flag and all that. He still supports God and he's still saved. That's rare, unfortunately. So you can probably skip that if you want. And another thing you should recognize is, your faults are your faults, so you're gonna have to live with that. But if you're going to do one thing that you're stuck with, just be a show-off, actually. Not in a bad way, just live with it until you actually die. Because that's probably God saying, you're probably stuck with something, but I don't want you to be perfect. Because if you live to be perfect, you'll be very proud, and that's going to be your thing. We all have one sin that we're stuck with, no matter what we have. And a humble person always has sin in his heart. A humble person always knows that he has limits. A humble person is usually wise. And kind of close to a genius, sometimes not. But always above the IQ of 100. That's a wise person. That is a humble person. A lot of these humble people have IQs that are above genius. Not close to prodigy sometimes, but if you're a prodigy, then you can live off of that. Most people that are in America and other nations have a problem with pornography and sex. But sometimes you don't want to accept that, but sometimes if you have to, it's going to be one of those things that you're going to have to live with. Now, my point is, no one's going to be perfect no matter what. There's always going to be fault. Everyone has 70,000 thoughts a day. Everyone has 70,000 thoughts a day, and one of those thoughts ought to be a sin every day. And I think the majority of it's for the flesh, and all of it for the flesh. And the majority of it is going to be sin. With the Spirit, it's going to be, well, a few of that is holy, few of that is good and righteous, I meant to say. So, a few of the thoughts per day is righteous, and every other thought is sinful. So, I'd rather get the thoughts that I have in my mind, that are sin, get wasted to sin, and fault, whether it be, be like a warrior violence, or maybe a little bit of perversion here and there, maybe pornography. It better not be child perversion, because I don't want to hear about that. Now, I'm not asking you to be purposely sinning to be, for just to want to sin forever. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to do is live with it. Live with sin. And in fact, I'm gonna make this a title. Live with sin, get rid of it in heaven. I know it's not gonna be popular, but so I'm gonna name it. And, for one thing, if you see a perfect person, then who is it to be? That is it an angel, or is it definitely Jesus? It's probably definitely Jesus, because even angels have been tempted to sin, but Jesus is never tempted. We are tempted, but never tempted in heaven. Because in heaven, no one needs to be tempted. No one should be tempted. And yes, we can even judge angels. That's the point. But this is not exactly what the point is. The point is, today is a time to just live with sin. Because indulging in sin, basically, living with sin. Basically, having sin and living with it is different. If you're really a sinner without Jesus, then you're living with sin without the Holy Spirit, and you will only sin. And the only thing getting you out of there is Jesus. But if you have Jesus, do what he tells you to do also. And this is my next point. Do what Jesus tells you to do. I'm showing off for a reason. This world is dangerous. And I'm going to tell you a point I utterly want to tell you right now. For those that stayed on. You utterly have to listen to Jesus if you want to have a good life on earth. If you don't have a good life, that means you're persecuted. So, if you want a reward, listen to Jesus. However, that does not mean that you're not saved if you don't get reward in heaven. What you have to do is not sin forever and stop listening to Jesus. No. Listen to Jesus, but accept that you have sin in your life. And make my point clear. Sin is sin. It's bad. It's terrible. We have to do it on earth, but in heaven, we should not do it. But we have to on earth because that's what we're born with. That's what we're stuck with. Whatever you have, you're going to have to keep it until you get to heaven. However, this great sin of ours that is causing people to go to hell, it's only temporal for some people and forever for others, because in hell it's multiplied by infinity, and the pain and suffering is there. It's terrible too. It's almost infinity, except it's like thousands of times worse, maybe a million times worse for some people. Because my point on case is, sin ought to be taught what it is. It's terrible. It's evil. is corrupt. It's cursed. And it's so bad that Jesus had to die for us on the cross to get rid of the sin that we have in our bodies in heaven. So you see, anyone that dies on a tree ends up taking the sin within him. So curses anyone that dies on a tree. That's what the Old Testament in the Bible told us. But since Jesus died on the tree, he became cursed for us. But then, since he is God, since he is perfect, since he was blameless, he put that curse in the grave. He basically, he paid the price. And he basically paid the price just for us. But that price is now paid for. And it's in the grave. You don't have to worry about it. All who believe in him will be saved. Now, accept that you have sin. But also accept that you do sin. Well, yeah. My point on, you do sin. And that you do sin. And basically, it's just, accept that Jesus died for your sin. So now, accept that Jesus died for you. And that if you believe in that, if you believe that your sin will be forever no longer part of your life, and that you still do sin, but it's no longer going to be attributed to your life in heaven. That's basically let me tell you what that means. Once you get to heaven, he's going to ask you a question. Why should you be in heaven? And the answer should be, because Jesus died for my sin. And I accepted that. If it's not a lie, you're in heaven. Now remember, we still have sin in our life. However, we just, we have to live with the sin that we currently are doing. That we're currently doing a sin in some area. Person that's constantly doing sin in one way or another. Because, let me tell you something. An average person sins, I would say, 70 to 60,000 times a day. A person with the Holy Spirit, 60 to 50,000 times a day. It's not much of a difference. However, by instruction by God, we're still trying to do the right thing. So by doing the right thing, it's not by sinning. However, since the sin is still in our life, as in the body, not in the spirit, because we no longer have sin in our lives. Let me get that point clear. But since we do sin, it's a topic that is very peculiar, because why would he still let sin on earth? Because earth is cursed. He's trying to get rid of the sin on earth by judging it in tribulation times, in the prophecy, in Revelation, all that, So he's literally going to destroy the sin on earth by literally judging the nations with the sin. Because you basically still have sin. You're with the sin if you don't believe. However, if you do believe in Jesus, then you no longer have sin with you, but you still have the sin within your flesh. This flesh is cursed. This flesh is cursed. It is only to do sin, no matter what. So what do we do about it? Let Jesus do the work. Because by accepting that Jesus got rid of your sin, once it's all over with in heaven, that way you will forever be saved. And you're forever saved once you believe today. Accept that Jesus died for you on the cross. Accept that he got rid of your sin, even though you still sin with your flesh, that flesh is going to go away, and the spirit is going to go to heaven. And we're no longer going to have the fleshly desires in heaven, no matter what. The flesh is all sin, and in heaven is all holiness, because the flesh does not like to doing things of God. All flesh is evil. Remember that. Alright, I'll be done now, okay? Bye.